Alrighty then, ladies and gentlemen, it's that time again. Nope, it's not Miller time, it's PPID time. It's a Friday, January the 29th. Ladies and gentlemen, the month is ending, the first month of the year 2021, already a phenomenal year in many respects. And of course, you know, we're here to help a lot of people. So right now, the show is called Cruising with the Case Handler, a show on personal injury and immigration. There is no case handler this morning, but of course, we're still talking on points of accident cases and more. So make sure you turn up your radios. Want to welcome the entire team here on Cruising with the Case Handler, a show on personal injury and immigration. But before we do that, let me ask everyone out there to actually text someone, call someone, and tell them that we are actually here on, of course, 93.5 WVIP FM, helping a lot of people by way of personal injury and immigration. And today we have another department that's going to be on the show, and I'm going to ask the managing partner of the firm, Conrad Pollack, to actually introduce our guest on the show today. So with that said, we are also on Facebook, and I'm asking everyone, please share on pages, share in groups, let people know that the attorneys are on. We've got Andrea. She's going to be answering your immigration questions. Now is the time to actually call the firm and, of course, book a consultation with her. And once again, that number happens to be 844-774-3529. The firm Pollack, Isaac, and Destico, PPID, is located in New York City at 225 Broadway, downtown Manhattan, and also in Peekskill and Brooklyn. We'll talk more about the offices later. Ladies and gentlemen, it's time for us to get the show on the road, as we would say. Let me ask everybody out there, are you down with PPID? If you are, call 844-774-3529. Let me hand the reins over to Mr. Conrad Pollack, the managing partner, and let him introduce our guest. And then later on, Andrea and I will go back and forth with some immigration questions. We'll let you take the reins, seeing that Adam is not here, Conrad.
Yeah, you're putting the pressure on. I have no idea who these people are. I've never seen them before. Seriously, good morning, everybody. And yeah, today we have some special guests. Andrea Shira, as she is known to our audience out there, is here to speak about some of the developments in immigration. And we all know there have been many, many developments over the last week and a half since the Biden administration was inaugurated. So plenty to talk about there. And in addition, we have a guest from our firm's real estate department, Michael Fisher, and he's going to talk about wills, about anybody who's interested in getting a will done. You know, it's been a pretty popular topic in the legal community of late for obvious reasons, unfortunately. You know, with the coronavirus out there, a lot of people concerned about their health, their futures, and as a result, our real estate department, which we do a lot of wills and estates and trusts, they've been inundated with inquiries and phone calls and people wanting to draw up their wills, getting their affairs in order. Which, you know, Mike, you know, you and I need to talk. I need to do it myself one of these days.
Well, I mean, let's.
They always say the shoemaker is the one with the holes in his shoes. You know, same deal here. It's always the lawyers that don't have the wills and that are a mess when it comes to this stuff. But anyway, so yeah, we have these two very special guests with us today. So I'm gonna keep my mouth shut and I'm gonna sit back and I'm gonna try to learn a little something myself. So ladies first. So Andrea, why don't you take it from here?
Good morning. Okay, so there's a lot of changes and a lot of news regarding immigration. One of my favorite ones is that Biden has said that DACA is here to stay, and he has said that basically the DACA program has been fortified and it will be protected. Yesterday he tweeted, and I'm going to read it, "Dreamers are Americans, and I want them to know they have an advocate and ally with me in the White House. That's why I took immediate action to fortify DACA." So I think that's great. It's a big change from what we've been seeing the past 4 years. So that's my favorite news out of all of them.
Andrea, if I could just interrupt for a sec, we know DACA is an executive order. Any plans, any word that you've heard about the administration trying to make it permanent, so that the next president, God forbid, it's not the same guy, but whoever it is, that they don't again use it as a political football and try to take it away?
Yes.
Like
so DACA is included in the bill that they want to propose, or they are going to propose for immigration changes. The main thing is that they want DACA to be to lead to citizenship eventually, first residency and then citizenship. So that's being in the works right now, and it's one of the things that they say they don't want to compromise on. So I think out of all the proposed changes, DACA will be the one that will most likely pass.
And what about people that were discouraged from doing it previously, or they thought that the program had been terminated, or maybe they had applied before and been denied? Any hope for those people?
Yes, absolutely. So the program, as of right now, it's back to what it was before Trump took office. So everyone should call if they think they could be eligible, so that they can try. They should apply. Actually, yesterday we were researching, because people that have DACAs that got it last year and that have a 1-year employment authorization card have an automatic other year on their employment authorization cards, and if they have DACA. And a lot of people don't know this, so this is something that they should ask about if they do have the 1 year, because immigration is supposed to reach out to you before it expires and send you a new card. So that's something that one of our clients is dealing with. So
great.
Yeah.
Is it too late for people to enroll for DACA?
No, it's not. It's never too late. If you meet all the requirements, then you can apply. They are accepting new applications, and I think you definitely should. It's a big opportunity for them, and if it leads to residency and citizenship, then you should do it now.
Absolutely. Yeah, from when I was reading about DACA, as you said, in this proposed bill that the Biden administration is going to be presented to Congress soon, I know there's a total 8-year path to permanent residence and U.S. citizenship, but the people that get DACA and people that get temporary protected status, they're going to get shortcuts. So there's certainly a major advantage to do DACA. So if you haven't done it by now, and you think you might be eligible, or you were told you weren't, and maybe the person who told you that didn't know what they were talking about, or you want a second opinion, you should definitely check us out and give us a call, because not only do you get the interim benefits of work authorization, immigration not bothering you if you have previous issues, but also if this proposed bill does become law, people with DACA could get their green cards pretty quickly. So that would be awesome.
Yes, definitely.
Great. All right. What else you got for us, Andrea, on the immigration side?
So just a little administrative changes. Immigration court in New York City for non-detained cases, meaning anybody that's not detained, that just has regular hearings, is still closed through February 19th. And we expect that it will continue to be closed. So that's going to be a lot of work once the court opens for everybody, not just the practitioners, but also the judges and the staff, since we've had court closed for almost a year now in New York City. And another thing is immigration said last night, the USCIS said that they are extending the deadlines for requests for evidence. Usually when they give you a request for evidence, they give you a specific date, either 87 days to respond or 30 days.
What's a request for evidence? Can you explain that?
Yes. So sometimes people file their applications. Let's say they file it on their own and they don't send all of the documents that were required at first. You'll usually get something called a request for more evidence. It's from immigration, and they're saying basically, you sent us your application. What you send is not enough. We need you to send this and this and that. And they explain what you need. So again, usually you have about 87 days to respond to those, but now immigration is giving you an extra 60 days. And that will apply to all the requests for evidence that were issued between March of 2020 through March 31st of 2021.
Squeeze, have I trained her well or what?
I mean, unbelievable, man. Unbelievable. Like they say, you are the architect of the firm. You know what you're doing with hiring the right people and the right attorney on board. PPID definitely taking over the nation. Anyone tuning into this radio station should definitely have their phone number in their phone. Very important. If it's immigration, it's PPID. If it's personal injury, it's PPID. And we're coming up on speaking on real estate, trust, and wills. Ladies and gentlemen, the number is 844-774-3529. That's 844-774-3529. I'd like to remind you, be a part of the newsletter. Subscribe by emailing news@ppid.com. That's news@ppid.com. Everyone that's out there, you need to know what's happening with immigration. You need to know what's happening with other areas of the law firm when it comes to other capacities. Make sure you email news@ppid.com. And also, 1 week from today at 6 p.m., the firm will be doing their first law forum on Zoom. If you would like to be a part of it for free, right now, go to Eventbrite and type in PPID Law and just click register. Boom, you're in. You will be a part of it. Next week, Friday, 6 p.m. on Zoom. Do it via Eventbrite or just click on the link that you're seeing on Facebook now and register for this mega law forum next week, Friday at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will also be broadcasting on Facebook. We will also be broadcasting on 93.5. It's going to be superb. So make sure you register. Once again, just click on the link or just go to eventbrite.com and type in PPID Law. It's a simple.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. It's as simple as that. And it's going to be a forum. We're going to have some special guests and so forth. We're also giving away iPads, plural. All right. We're giving away iPads, plural. All compliments of Adam Handler. Throwing him under the bus right now, you know. But Conrad, I'm about to jump to Michael because I want to hear a lot about trust and wills and all of that, you know, but you were about to say something.
Well, before we get to that, because there are a couple other things that we want to talk about with regard to immigration. You know, Andrea, I had a call yesterday from a guy, prospective client, who had a deport order from, I don't know, I forget, 10, 15 years ago. And he was concerned. He's heard stories in his neighborhood, ICE showing up in the middle of the night, knocking on people's doors and grabbing them and sending and putting them in jail and then sending them home. You want to talk about this proposed moratorium on deportations that the Biden administration have put forward, because this is exactly what we were talking about, and it's very front and center with a lot of people that have previous deport orders or that are in deportation proceedings that are concerned about being removed, or families that have relatives in immigration detention that are in danger of being removed. What about that?
Yes. So one of the first things Biden did was to make a 100-day pause on all most deportations. So this pause applies to people that have final orders of removal, that don't have a history of like very serious crimes. You can probably still have some criminal history, but nothing too serious. And you have to be physically present in the United States on November 1st, 2020. You haven't voluntarily agreed to waive your rights. So those people should be protected under this deportation pause. However, a federal judge in Texas did try to block it, saying that they needed to do an internal investigation first because they didn't think that the director of the Department of Homeland Security was acting correctly by doing this pause. So,
so does that mean people can be removed, or does that mean they can't? I mean, the judge in Texas, federal judge in district court, enjoined or halted temporarily this new moratorium. But what does that mean effectively for the administration? I mean, if I've got a relative sitting in immigration jail who was supposed to be deported 2 weeks ago, what's happening with him?
Honestly, I don't know. I think they shouldn't be removed. I think because it's being litigated, they should hold on removing anybody. at least while that's final. None of this is final right now, so I don't think people should be removed. I do have some friends on social media that are also immigration attorneys, and one of them was saying that she has a detained client, and he's not in the priorities of being removed immediately, but ICE is acting however they want to act, and they're still transferring him to remove him immediately. So I don't know if ICE is going to actually listen to the law or the pause.
Yeah, it's interesting. You mentioned priorities. Priorities are something that the Obama administration, just for all you folks that are curious out there, the Obama administration had changed priorities, or I should say created a level of priorities for people to be removed. Violent criminals, rapists, things like that, they're priority number one, they go. But if you had a minor, trespassing charge or shoplifting or something like that, you would not be a priority for removal. So what the Obama administration had done was create a list of priorities for people based on whatever they've done or how deserving they were to remain here or how deserving they were to not remain here. And it was a recognition by the administration of the federal government's limited resources, because they have substantial resources, but in the end they are limited. So let's use our resources the best way possible and get rid of the people we need to, and the people that are not dangerous to the community, let them stay. When Trump came in 2016-17, they changed all that. They eliminated priorities. Basically, the priority was under Trump for the last 4 years: if you're illegally here, we catch you, you're gone. Doesn't matter what you did, what you didn't do, how long you've been here, whether you pay taxes, what kind of family you have here. You could be here for 30 years with a wife and 5 kids born here, but if you don't have your green card and you're not supposed to be here, we're going to remove you. That was the Trump administration's position on the subject. Now Biden has shifted back to a prioritization of people, whether they should be deported or not. And that's, I think, what all of this is about. I mean, I'm expounding, editorializing a little bit, but the Biden administration is going to appeal this judge's order. Mm-hmm. This judge apparently has a history in Texas. He has a history. He's a Trump-appointed judge, and he has a history of negative rulings when it comes to immigration policy, adversely affecting immigrants in the country. So the ruling is going to be appealed, and I believe it was only a temporary order, 14 days. So, yes. And also from what I'm reading, from what I'm hearing, even though the moratorium was temporarily stopped, it's still up to the Biden administration as to who they want to remove. So I'm sure there's some kind of internal policy directives going on inside, basically saying you do not remove people unless your supervisor okays it, or unless they meet certain criteria. I'm sure there's something like that going on. Yeah. So my guess is that if somebody was in danger of being removed recently, before he came in, my guess is, unless he's a violent criminal or something like that, I don't think he's going to be going. They're going to be sending him home anytime soon. So that's good news for the people that deserve to remain here, for sure. So I'm sorry, I co-opted you. Go ahead.
Wow, let me give out the number one more time. Once again, folks, if you're just joining us, this is Cruisin with the Case Handler, a show on personal injury and immigration. Today's focus is evidently on immigration. We also, of course, have a guest on the show, another attorney that's going to be speaking on real estate, trust, and wills, and I'm eager to hear more on that. So without further ado, as you call 844-PPID-LAW, to definitely store that number for a solid and excellent law firm. Let me introduce Michael Fichera. Did I pronounce that correctly?
Pretty close. Fichera. So it's like fish, but not fish.
Oh. Okay.
But
all right. So to the show, and tell us who you are, what you do, how you do.
So I'm a real estate attorney, but with COVID and obviously the circumstances that have been affecting everybody globally, I've shifted more into wills. I'll be honest, I've done more wills for all my friends and family than I have ever had done in my entire life in the last year or so. Everybody that I know, almost everyone I know, is calling me up asking me to do it. I'm not lying when I say that. Mm-hmm. And it's honestly, I would say it's extremely important to do, because if it's not done, you could end up in a circumstance where, the people you leave behind have no idea how to handle or wrap up what's going on. I actually had a friend Just this past month, his father tragically died from COVID-19. And they're not sure if he has a will. They're not sure if he doesn't have a will. They're more or less scrambling. He has two homes, one in Arizona, one in Staten Island. They don't know if he has a will hidden in his Arizona home or hidden in his Staten Island home or at a bank, and they're more or less scrambling, trying to figure out, what to do with, going forward. And
what happens, Michael? If there is no will, what happens?
So if there's no will, depending on where, if you live in New York, you follow something called intestacy. Well, if you can't find a will, that's a different issue. But if there is no will,
there's no will.
There's something called intestacy, in which case I would say they qualify as the default law on how to pass out your belongings, right? So if you have a wife and kids, half of it goes to your wife, the rest goes to your kids. If you don't have a wife, then it goes to your kids, and so on and so forth. So that's like the default law.
So Mike, let me interrupt you. So a situation like Squeeze, he dies without a will, God forbid. He dies without a will. What happens with regard to his 5 ex-wives and the 3 kids that each of them have with him? What happens to all of them?
Thanks, Conrad. Thanks. Go ahead.
I would say that there would probably be a lot of infighting before they figured out what was going on. But you would go in that. I would say that your kids would all be fighting over it rather than you taking the time to allocate exactly who gets what and making it not in dispute. And I think that's probably the best way you would want to do it, rather than having everybody, argue over it and who deserves what. But it would fall under, again, the intestacy law. So they would be just split evenly. So if you have a kid that maybe you don't like, I don't know, some people don't, and they would be able to take under intestacy if you did not have a will. If you had a will, you can, little Johnny or whoever, that never visits you, you can disinherit them if you want. But without a will, you can't do that.
Mike, you're making the point that I was trying to make. Basically, you want to have a will, especially if you have a complicated domestic situation like our MC, with his numerous ex-wives and so on. If you have a situation like that, you certainly want to have a will so that when you're gone, your wife, your kids, whoever else, they're not going to be fighting over what's left. That's really the point that I'm trying to make. And of course, I'm teasing. Squeeze doesn't have 5 ex-wives. You only have 3 or 4, right?
I think it's only 4. But one thing I want to make a point before we get to the top of the hour, and everyone that's listening to this station, I'm about to say something that is the truth. Caribbean people. Well, I can speak primarily for the Caribbean people. They tend not to do wills. It's time for you to wake up. We have to have wills, and we tend not to want to think of anything morbid, but we're all going to die. And when you do die, what happens after that? What happens to every single thing that you have? Don't be afraid to do your will. Doing your will is not saying you're going to die tomorrow. You're preparing for what happens after you're gone. You're making peace by doing that will. So this way there's no fight. It's very clear what you want. So I urge my people out there, please get yourself a will. All right? And I know I'm being an ass about this, but you will never get out of this life alive. So you might as well structure yourself. Okay? It's very, 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 very important. I can't stress how important it is to have a will. All right.
If I may, also, that's something that I would never recommend doing on your own because it is so hard. I think wills and trusts and estates was the hardest class in law school. So even attorneys that did go and study it still can't do it that well. So that's something that definitely needs to be done by an attorney.
Well, you mentioned law school. I remember it was a long time ago, but I remember I loved wills.
I hated it.
I loved that class, not because it was easy or difficult, but the stories you would hear.
Top of the hour. Let me squeeze in a number before the top of the hour. All right. I don't want this. I want people to call up Michael. all right? Because it's very important. If you're listening to my voice right now and you don't have a will, you're not doing the right thing by your family and everyone that you're leaving behind. So dial this number, ask Michael about wills. The number is 844-774-3529. Call him right now, get a consultation scheduled, 844-774-3529. That's 844-PPIDLAW. Do the right thing. 844-774-3529. None of us know if and when we are going. All right? Well, we know we're going, but we don't know when. All right? I'm sorry, Conrad. Sorry, I had to cut you off. Go ahead.
I was saying how I used to love wills and estates in law school a long time ago, but I remember because you would hear the craziest fact patterns, the craziest stories about people that would die, like we're talking about, that didn't have a will, or they did have a will, and then they made another one, and they made another one, and nobody knew which one was accurate, or a will was lost or hidden, or the ex-wife had the will and didn't want to turn it over to the new wife. You know, all kinds of crazy stories, which, of course, you know, these things happen. This is real life. So again, just reiterating what you were saying, it is so important to have a will. Mike, I have a question, because we have a lot of people that are immigrants that are listening in the community right now. Do you need a green card? Do you have to be here legally? I mean, what are the requirements?
I don't think green card would matter whether or not you can make a will, because it's still, the New York laws still apply whether or not you're an immigrant or not. They don't cease to exist if you're an immigrant. So I can't imagine why the will would matter. Why your immigration status would matter if you had a will.
All right, good question, by the way. And you know, before we get to the top of the hour, once again, just want to remind everyone, this is Cruising with the Case Handler, show on personal injury immigration. We're speaking about real estate, trust, and wills. I want to hear more on that. If you'd like to continue listening and watching us, make sure you tune into Facebook, David Squeeze Annakie, the firm's page, PPID, that's Pollack, Isaac, and DeSico, or the Case Handler page. We have a lot to go through here. I'm learning so much. So I'm going to hand the reins back over to Mr. Michael Fischera. All right. I think I said that correctly this time around. So Michael, the reins is all yours as we say bye to the 93.5 FM listeners and continue on Facebook.
I don't know how much more I have to add on.
Well, let me ask you a question.
Also,
I'm new to this country, or I've been living here for a while. I've got family here. I just got my green card. In fact, you know, I'm a client of the Case Handler, and he just won a huge amount of money for me. All right. I have a wife, I have children, I have property back in Jamaica. I have all this money now. I want to make a will. What do? I'm calling you. How am I doing it? What do I need?
Well, I would ask you for all your, first off, who your family is, who you want your belongings to go to. I would make sure that you only, you know, you are married, and if you are married, that you want your, you know, making sure you understand that your belongings will, even if you've been separated for 20, 30 years, if you're legally married still, your belongings will still, half of them will go to your spouse. There's nothing you can't disinherit your wife in New York. So I'd make sure that you understand that. If you want to get a divorce before the will is done, you go right ahead, but make sure you understand that just because you haven't seen your wife in 30 years, if you're married, that's still legally your wife in New York State. It's very important.
You're saying that if I'm married for 30 years, I just inherited $1 million.
That's right.
The Case Handler just got me $1 million for this car accident that I was in. Right, and I'm disabled, and I'm married to a woman, but we've been separated for 20 years. We have a couple of kids together. I haven't seen her. She went with some other guy. I haven't seen her in 20 years, and I pass away tomorrow. You're telling me that she's going to get half of everything I own?
Yeah. It would be, yes.
That doesn't seem fair.
I hear you. It is
fair. I think it's fair.
Not if you haven't seen each other in 20 years. This is not a male-female thing, Andrea. Man, if the wife passed away, the husband gets it.
She married him. Why not?
But really, I mean, just because they're still married, even though they haven't been together for 20 years, she still gets half?
I have, let's just say I have a case where this is in fact the case. So yes, that is true.
Oh, Squeeze, did we mention that we also do divorces?
That is true.
Yeah, yes. But what about, speaking about that, which is a very good question, because when I decided to do it, what about prenups and postnups? You guys do that?
Yeah, we do. I know Fred has done several. I have not done them, but I know Fred has done them. So I know that, yes, we can do that. And we can take care of that for you.
Okay, no problem. All right. I'll send you guys an invitation to my wedding. Just kidding.
Is it in Jamaica?
Right?
I better be invited.
All right. So once again, folks, Cruisin with a case handler. We're talking today about trusts and wills and real estate. And on the real estate side, Michael, what were you doing actually?
We do, mostly real estate transactions, so purchases and sales. We do some leasing. We don't really do like eviction stuff, like landlord tenant. We don't really do that. But generally, if you're looking to buy property or if you're looking to sell somewhere and, move out to the suburbs, there's a lot of that going on right now. We're more than happy to help you out with that. And that's something we do very regularly.
Actually, that leads me to a question. You said that that's very popular right now. Is it? I mean, what is it a result of people just wanting to get out of New York, or what's going on? What have you seen?
I think it's well, with remote work now, everybody seems to think that the remote work is never going to end, and that why do I have to spend so much money living in New York City, paying high property taxes and having really high property values, when I could just sell now and move out to somewhere, where I have a much bigger place and, a backyard and a pool, where right now, generally in New York City, that's not something that's really common.
Right. That's true.
Is it still going on though? I mean, we're a year into this thing. Do you notice any changes? Is it slowing down? Is it maintaining? Is it speeding up?
I would say that it is. We have not done very many purchases in the city. I would say in the last 6 to 8 months, I've done many sales. This is anecdotal, but based on my experience, yes, that's where it's been.
All right, but again, the vaccine's right around the corner. So let's say everybody's vaccinated in over the next 4 to 6 to 8 months. I mean, do you think this trend is going to continue? That people are still going to be looking to move out and leave the city, or they're going to get vaccinated and say, you know what, it's safe now. I go back to the restaurants. I could go back to Ray's Pizza on the corner, and it's safe.
I think eventually that, New York City will again become the buzz. This is not the first time where, an event has driven people out. Generally, the people that I think are driven out are not really from here anyway, that they are mostly just stopping through but I think eventually this, people will be moving back to Manhattan and Queens and Brooklyn at, the same rates that they were before. But right now, with interest rates kind of low, people are buying, wherever, out in the suburbs.
All right. Good stuff, Michael. I think we need to have you more on the show, man. You seem a little nervous, though. Are you nervous, man? Is Conrad and Andrea intimidating you? Just let me know.
Conrad's a pretty tall guy. I don't know if you guys have ever. I'm sure you guys have all met him.
Oh, yeah, he's a
big guy.
He's a big guy.
People can't see from the.
Piss off that guy,
Yeah.
But I want to thank you for being on the show, and I'd love to have you back. And Conrad and Andrea, I don't know if you guys. I would love for you guys to. I know weekends are very special for everyone. But I'd love for you guys to come on one Saturday in the 6 o'clock or the 7 p.m. hour, just for 15 minutes or 10 minutes, please.
Look at Squeeze putting us on blast in front of everyone. How can we say no?
It's 5 minutes, just because it's a whole different audience. And, I think even on Saturday for 5 minutes, just to do a 5-minute session round robin with you guys, every week would be great. So one attorney can come on for 5 minutes, talk with me, or we can even pre-record it, making it seem, So I would love, I'd love to have you guys on. I'm just saying, it's a complete different audience, guys.
Yeah, we could target the millennial audience by doing that. That's right.
There you go. So, you know, I would love
these kids get tired of hearing about the stories from us baby boomers, right?
Yes, they do. Anyway, I've got a couple of quick questions here on immigration, and then we'll conclude. Someone wants to know, is there any update on the F4 category regarding Biden's executive orders?
F4 is for brothers and sisters of U.S. citizens. Yes, one of the plans or the changes is that he wants to speed that process up. And he also wants to do a specific visa for those people to come into the country and wait out the time here so that they can come in and out. So that is one of the proposed changes for those.
You know, fourth preference cases, which that's what we're talking about, siblings of U.S. citizens, they take a long time. You know, most cases, 15 years or so. So, you know, there is, over the years, I've been doing this a long time. And over the years, there have been various proposals to speed this up, to make it faster, to get these people visas in the interim so they come here and wait here instead of in their countries. There were also been proposals to eliminate the categories. In fact, I remember years ago, there used to be more visas in the fourth preference category. 20 years or so ago, they lowered the number of visas in this category, if I remember correctly, back in the 90s. But anyway, there have been proposals like this for the fourth preference category throughout the years. I would not hold my breath. I would not get my hopes up that there are going to be any of these changes. If there are going to be compromises when this new proposed law goes to Congress. There are going to be all kinds of discussions about all the various issues. This is a big bill. There's a lot of stuff in there. And there's going to be a lot of compromise and a lot of give and take. My experience tells me that this is going to be one of the topics that's going to be a giveaway. I don't expect much to happen with regard to the fourth preference category. Hey, I've been wrong before. Not often, but I've been wrong before. So I wouldn't get my hopes up, though. But stay tuned. You know, whoever asked that question, you should sign up for our newsletter, and you should stay tuned to the program, because we do talk about things like this. And certainly, as this bill winds its way through Congress, we will be talking about all these issues. So,
definitely. Someone also wants to know. I need some guidance. What is the difference between the Form I-130 and the I-485? Thanks in advance.
The I-130 is a family petition. So it's from the U.S. citizen or the resident petitioning for a child, a spouse, a parent. So that's the first part of a process to be able to get your green card. The 485 is the application to register permanent residency or to adjust your status. So that's the form that you fill out when you are applying for the actual green card to get the card. But you either file them both together or you file one first, which would be the I-130, and once it's approved, you file the I-485.
Yeah, to put it in simple terms, the I-130 is used to prove that there's a relationship. You use that to prove that you're married, or that you have a child, or you have a parent that you're applying for. That just proves the relationship. It doesn't get you any benefit. It just shows there's a relationship. The 485 is the actual application to get an interview in the United States. It's only for people in the United States, by the way. If the person you're sponsoring is outside the U.S., you do not file a 485. That's only for people filing in the U.S. But that is to get you the actual interview.
Absolutely. Okay. One more. F2B application. Need some help on how to proceed if the petitioner dies before the visa was issued to the beneficiary. Is the petition not valid?
That person needs to call a lawyer.
I was about to say.
There are options, but you need to call. Yeah, it's not as simple as answering on here. So.
And it also depends. It depends on where the applicant is. Yeah. If he's in the United States, he's got a much better chance of getting through than if he's not.
844-774-3529. That is the number for the law firm Pollack, Isaac, and Nasiko. In my opinion, it's the only number that you'll need for a law firm. They'll take it from there, regardless of the legal capacity that you need help in. They'll point you in the right direction or help you right there. The number, once again, for the law firm, 844-774-3529. That's 844-PPID-LAW. Today, we spoke with three attorneys: Michael Fischera in the Real Estate Trust and Wills Division, Andrea Scher and Conrad Pollack in the Immigration Division. Andrea Scher is an attorney there also. Conrad Pollack is the managing partner. I am David Annakie of the Link Up Media Group, and we do appreciate you. But don't forget, next week, Friday, February the 5th at 6 p.m., our PPID Law Forum. Everyone should register now. Space is limited on Zoom, so make sure you go to Eventbrite or just click on the Eventbrite link right there in the comment section that's pinned and just register. It's free, 100% free. And we're giving away free iPads, plural. We're giving away free iPads, plural. So make sure you check it out. With that said, bye, Michael. Bye, Andrea. Bye, Conrad. Have yourself an amazing weekend. And bye.